Welcome, this is not legal advice. I'm your host, TINLA, and today I felt called to do a controversial reading. So stick with me here because this is not something I would normally do, and I don't know if any other tarot readers do this kind of reading. But here's what I'm thinking. Look, we got national debt expanding and people are suffering. We got UFC fights on the White House lawn, Ebola concerns, and work camps with, we'll call them incinerators, and politicians who are too cowardly to help people that are being detained for no reason. Our constitutional rights are being trampled, etc., etc. It is a stressful effing time, and I think it would be disingenuous of me to pretend otherwise. So yes, love is important, work is important. All the things that I talk about are also important. But what I really want to talk to you about today, and what Spirit told me to talk to you about, is how are we feeling and what are we going to do about this? So, what is my collective feeling? Treating drama as therapy, chaos addiction, misprocessing. Doom scrolling at 3 a.m., insomnia, internet spiral, and anxiety loop. Yeah, that tracks. Okay, and then give me some more on how my audience is feeling, how my beautiful viewers are viewing right now. What's going on? Here we go. Open third eye, saw email, digital interface, inner conflict. I'm going to talk about this because this is actually all really like much more meaningful than it may seem on the outset here. Can't sleep, might spiral, overthinking, emotional overload, okay? And, all right, here's the thing. Okay, treating drama as therapy, chaos addiction, misprocessing. To me, this is talking about how we're all kind of just so in this endless cycle of news and drama and like a fire hose amount of information just constantly. It's like if it's not one crappy thing happening, it's another crappy thing happening. And it's just constant. It never freaking stops. I mean, it's like, how are we supposed to answer this voicemail if we're like in the middle of drama? You know, and you know, we're sitting here and we're talking to each other like, wow, isn't it amazing that this happened or that happened? And it's almost like we're just so all well informed and nothing is changing, and yet we still have to go to work every flipping day and try to pretend like everything's just fine. And we're just treating it as if like talking about it or looking online and maybe posting some comments or arguing with somebody online is therapy, and it's not. Okay, and meanwhile, the stress, the cortisol levels are through the freaking roof. We're doom scrolling at 3 a.m. We're waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat going, you know, I can't fall back asleep. What am I going to do? You're just going to get on your phone. You're going to go to TikTok or you know, Instagram or whatever the heck you're using. And you're going to see all of this nonsense, especially when we have we'll call him commander-in-chief because I'm trying to be respectful, posting just absolute AI slop and nonsense 24/7 because he's sundowning and, let's be real, not a well person. Open third eye, saw email. So it's like, here you are, you're trying to center, you're trying to relax, you're trying to say, okay, like all this craziness is going on, but like, what can I do for me? What can I do like to like calm myself so I can be a healthy, happy, productive member of society, that I can take care of my own needs, my family's needs, my friends' needs? How can I be a good and healthy person? And so you're trying so hard, and then as soon as you wake up, email, ding, 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 ding. I hope this email finds you well. Have you closed a loop? Have you? I'm just saying that's where we're at. We're closing loops and worried about all that, but in the meantime, we've got all this in the background. Can't sleep, might spiral. Overthinking, emotional overload. And then we get to bed. So this is like Monday night, Tuesday night, right? We finally get to bed. Oh, look, it's 4 a.m. here. Can't sleep, might spiral. Just, you know, absolutely going off, whether it's about love or work or the myriad of freaking problems we have going on right now in this world. Just absolute amounts of insanity happening right now. It feels like your head's on fire. No wonder you can't sleep. None of us who are paying attention to anything that's going on can sleep. It's nonsense. And yet we're sitting here and expected to work every single day like nothing's happening. And I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. This is what Spirit wanted me to tell you, is you're not alone. You're not alone, okay? There are so many people like you and me who feel like this, in this cycle of just traumatic news, of drama, of nonsense, of circling around and what can we do about this, and feeling like we can't do anything, and then we got to get up and go to work, and then we see more horrors unfolding in front of us. And we're worrying about how can we feed our family and how can we pay the electric bill. And meanwhile, corporations are paying $0 in taxes, getting all these tax breaks, and we can't even afford to buy a tank of gas. And we're supposed to just sit here and, you know, be cool, man. Be cool. No, I don't think so. And I think it's foolishness to pretend otherwise. And I'm done pretending. I'm not going to pretend. I'm still going to do my other readings because those are important too. Okay? But we can't sit here and not acknowledge the elephant in the room. This is going on. This is real. People are struggling. Children are struggling. They're not able to eat. There's no school lunches during the summer. There's not even school lunches during half the year now because SNAP benefits. And go ahead, you know what? Turn me off, Susan. Nobody asked you to be here. Carol. Sorry if your name is Susan or Carol and you're a pretty cool person. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be here. But the world will keep revolving whether you like it or not. So how about get up off your butt and let's see what's really going on here. And I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry that I'm so animated right now because this needs to be said. So what's driving this? What's going on with this right now? What is driving this bullshit? Pardon my French. What is driving it? Okay, we got a secret. I don't know if it's so much of a secret. It sounds like the Epstein files if you ask me. Stop them. Oh, and one more, and then one more after that, please. What's going on? Let's get to the bottom of this. What is really going on here? What's this secret? Okay. Stop them. Anonymous. Please, Anonymous. Where the hell are you? Watching them. Okay? Watching them. This is from the Invisible Order Oracle. So secret says... Ah. It's not numbered that way here. That's the secret is where her secret is here. It's number 46 in this deck, okay? For some reason, I don't really know. Okay. And it's, looks like it's the last one actually in the deck. Behind parted curtains stands a hooded figure, faceless and silent. It does not step forward, nor does it retreat. It waits. The folds of the drapery suggest theater, deception, or revelation, but the air is still. The figure is not your enemy, but your inner reflection. This card reveals what has been withheld, either by you or from you. When drawn, it's a call to bring truth into the open, even if only to yourself at first. Hidden truths distort choices and relationships until they are acknowledged. This is a moment to ask what you've been avoiding and whether keeping it hidden serves your highest goods. When this card appears, set aside time to face what you've been keeping locked away. Confide in a trusted ally, write it out, or do a tarot reading. Doesn't say that, I'm saying that. What I'm telling you is, especially if you are somebody who is not your traditional, what I would consider traditional tarot watcher, and you perhaps are not clear on what's happening in the world, make yourself aware, dig deep, uncover it. Why do you feel certain ways? What are you supporting? Are your family and friends not talking to you anymore? Why is that? Is supporting billionaires worth your friends and family going away? What are you hiding from yourself? What is the secret? Do you not feel worthy? Do you feel like if you vote a certain way that you're part of the in crowd? That you're part of the elite? Well, I got news for you. The vast majority, like 99% of us plus, are not. Super secret, but not really. Okay? Stop them. Yeah, we should do that. Let's stop them. Let's stop them. Let's find out about that. And I know this is not a traditional tarot reading, but you know what? I don't effing care. Because this is going to reach the right people at the right time. A cloaked figure looms large, one hand stretched forward in a commanding gesture to halt. Behind them, factories spew smoke into a poisoned sky. Others in robes march below, silent, driven, complicit. No one speaks, but the message is deafening. The Stop Them card is a call to halt your own destructive patterns. The them you must stop are the sabotaging aspects of yourself, the inner critics, the self-defeating behaviors, the ego's endless need for drama and complication. Drama. You have become complicit in your own suffering, marching silently towards outcomes you don't want. The toxic factories represent the mental pollution you generate, catastrophic thinking, self-judgment, endless worry about situations beyond your control. Your higher self stands with hand outstretched, commanding you to halt this internal destruction. Stop feeding the thoughts that diminish you. Stop rehearsing conversations that will never happen. Stop creating problems where none exist. This is not about controlling others. It's about taking responsibility for the chaos you create within your own mind. The time for self-sabotage has passed. Intervene in your own matters before they destroy what matters most. So yes, stop this cycle, okay, of worrying and freaking out. Because at a grand scheme, no, the reality is you cannot do it. I hate to say this, like we all march, we all do, but this is not going to change things. There are a select potential group of people who are willing to stand up as citizens of these United States, stand for our constitutional rights, and those people know who they are. And I have nothing but the most respect and reverence for those people. And there will be a start to this. But right now, it is not happening yet. We will see it when it does. But until then, buttress yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Take care of your needs. Prepare yourself. Stop just fretting and worrying and get inside yourself and figure out, what can I do to clear this smog? Anonymous, we're calling on you. Number 38. A hooded figure stands solemn in the rain, one hand to their chest, the other lowered, faceless, silent and alone. The storm rages behind them, but they remain still, cloaked in shadow, belonging to no one, yet present in all. This card embodies the sacred act of disappearing in service of a greater cause. What did I just say about respecting and having reverence for the select few? Sorry, but not sorry. I don't know why I keep saying sorry, but I'm not. It is the archetype of the unseen protector, the voice that moves through hidden channels. When Anonymous appears, it calls you to examine your truth and your role in truth-telling, which is why I am here. Truth-telling. Spirit said, tell the truth, and I am here to do it. Are you hiding to protect or to avoid? Is your silence strength or is it fear? You may feel the instinct to withdraw from constant exposure, sensing that too much visibility dilutes your purpose. Sometimes the most powerful forces operate without identity or recognition. I go by TINLA. You don't need to know my name. You don't need to know who I am or what I do. This is not legal advice. That's what you need to know. Okay? But I speak for all who are willing to hear. The most powerful voices operate without identity or recognition. Step back from the noise, operate quietly but with precision. Let your integrity, not your presence, carry your influence. Move. It doesn't say this in the book. I'm saying this. Move in the shadows, my friend. Watching them. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for listening. This is so important, and I can't pretend that this isn't happening. Surveillance, fear, unseen power. A shadowed council looms in the sky, their faceless hoods turned toward the ground below. The town bustles under a haze of smoke, its people unaware or unwilling to admit that they are being studied. No one moves without sensing eyes upon them. We are watching them, watching us. And we, by the way, my fellow citizens, are watching them begin to watch us. Hi, Palantir. Hi. This card speaks to the act of observation from a distance, not simply being watched, but entering a mutual gaze where both sides measure the other. You may find yourself in the observer's role, gathering knowledge, quietly noting patterns and intentions around you. This position offers clarity and foresight, but can foster detachment and judgment if left unchecked. What you discover now will shape your next move, so use this intelligence wisely. The key is maintaining healthy curiosity without crossing into voyeurism or paranoia. When this card appears, stay grounded in your own truth while gathering information. Listen more than you speak, watch more than you act, and use what you learn to prepare your next move with precision. And that is what we need. Yes, watch the news. Yes, see what's happening in the world. And use that to fortify yourselves Fortify yourselves. Get well, get healthy, because unwell people, people who are too broken and hurt and depressed and unable to experience joy or hope, those in the shadows have already won. And that question, by the way, that I asked, what is driving all of this here? What is the likely next action? And I call this the forecast. And I was kind of trying to be cute because this is the storm cloud oracle. I mean, none of this is cute, let's be real. But you know what? If we don't laugh, I don't know what we're going to do. So let's find out. Storm cloud oracle, what is next here? And as I'm recording this, it's June 6, 2026. June 6. If I'm not mistaken, very important day. Very, very important day from our national history here, from the zeitgeist of these United States of America. What's next? What's next? What is next? Thank you. All right. I've got number 19, the swarm, quiet the noise. And number 4, the dagger, trust wisely, not blindly. Okay, the swarm. The swarm appears when you are feeling overwhelmed, too much noise, too much pressure, or too many moving parts. It feels like everything is coming to you at once. Voices, emotions, opinions, and your own clarity is being drowned out in the buzz. It's not one big thing, it's too many little things all at once. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. Step away, take some time out, and find stillness so you can hear your own voice again. The swarm card also warns of listening too much to the opinions of others. Block out the chatter and listen to your own judgment. And this goes back to what I was saying about basically, you know, as the kids would say, touching grass, right? Recentering, taking care of yourself so that you can be the strongest, best version of yourself. And as each of us are the strongest, best versions of ourselves, we create a stronger, better nation. That is what has made us great. The individual strengths coming together despite the odds. Number 4, the dagger. This card appears when you need to pay attention to those closest to you. Does someone have ill intent? Are you being deceived by another, or perhaps yourself? The dagger card urges you to examine all intentions carefully, including your own. Are you gripping the hilt of your dagger defensively, suspecting betrayal where there is none? Not everyone is your enemy, nor is everyone your ally. It isn't just dangerous to trust wrongly, it can be dangerous not to trust at all. And what I am getting from this is what we need to do, as I was just saying here with this swarm card, is being the best versions of ourselves individually, but forming small communities, neighborhoods, getting together with those around us in the immediate neighborhoods and supporting one another. You know, we've really come along, you know, in time to where we've become isolated, whether it's in an isolated family unit or as, since 2020, people becoming, individually isolated, not even in a family, just separate and apart. We've just really grown apart. We don't have that sense of community. And what this is saying is find those that you can trust, that you can depend upon, because we're going to need each other. When some of these impacts from what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz really start to flow in, we are going to need our friends and neighbors to provide that extra roll of toilet paper, to provide that extra can of soup, to help us out with, diapers or whatever it is we may need. We are only going to have ourselves to depend upon because we have seen in the last however long that we cannot depend on larger forces. So, and by the way, even if we could, let's just hypothetically play a little game of pretend here that we could. We need those around us to support us emotionally. We are social creatures. Think about it. Why do we sleep? Why do we sleep? And I don't want to hear, oh, because we got to rebuild our muscle and, you know, we got to like form memories. Yes, I know that. But it is a truly evolutionary disadvantage. We are weakest when we sleep. We are subject to attack. We're vulnerable. So we have been evolving and being developed as a human being to need others around us to protect us, to help us, to safeguard us even while we sleep. And that's just a simple example. We are social creatures. And I'm confident there are tons and tons of scientific studies that talk about what happens to people in isolation. We need each other, irrespectively of whatever governmental entity is or is not taking care of us. So what I'm saying is take care of yourself, take care of your local community, get involved at a local level, help your neighbors, help your friends, help your family. That's how we make it through these tough times. Okay, so the next question is, what is the outcome? And for this, I'm pulling on the Eigengrau Oracle deck. And if you're still with me, thank you. I appreciate you listening to my ranting, raving, and nonsense. But again, Spirit has told me this needs to be said, and, well, who am I to disagree? All right, we got one card. Let me get one more card, please. One more card. No, I think that's it. We've got reality and perception at the bottom. And it's interesting because I was just talking to somebody today about, you know, perception is reality, right? There is an objective reality, but how we perceive it is really what matters because that's how people respond. So let's take a look. This is number 20. Number 20 in the regular tarot is judgment. Okay. Perception. Subjectivity, senses, thought. Oh, actually, we're on reality. Objectivity, the unknown, outer, awareness, empathy, tangible, what is. Perception and reality exist as a paradox. Undoubtedly, a reality exists outside of ourselves, but we can only know it through our subjective experience. On a cosmic scale, our life is essentially meaningless. However, since all we can ever know of the cosmos is through our singular perspective, paradoxically, we become the only meaning. Our own awareness gives birth to the universe. In that way, the boundary between what is inside and outside is significantly blurred. Perception is the sum total of our senses. Aside from physical senses, perception can also include our thoughts and feelings. Reality is the world outside of ourselves, but it also includes ourselves and is contained within ourselves. A wider vantage to take is always present, but we can see no wider than our own consciousness. So this is speaking to me in terms of like, what is the outcome? Is seeing beyond the now, beyond what we can immediately perceive. It's almost like, imagine 150 years ago, what people then would say about a cell phone. I mean, they couldn't even conceptualize such a device, right? A cell phone, and it would be nonsense to them. Like, it's ludicrous. And I don't mean the rapper, he's a lot of fun, but no offense, Luda, I love you. But what I'm saying is there are some things that are so beyond the scope of our understanding just by virtue of being in the future where we have not experienced them yet, that we can't even conceptualize of them. And what this card, I think, is asking us to do is picture that reality, if you can, to the extent you can, where things aren't the way they are now. The America, the United States that we want, that we set out to be. And I know America, the United States has a sordid history that's being just absolutely just like covered up, destroyed, ignored. There are a lot of horrible things, but conceptually speaking, at least in theory, we believe in freedom and equality. In theory. But let's make it reality. And we can. And maybe we can't see what that looks like right now because we've been so mired down in what we have perceived since, you know, in the 250 years that our country has been a country. Happy birthday, America. Okay. You look great for 250, but not really. You're kind of, get some Botox. You know what I'm saying? A little filler wouldn't hurt. What I'm saying is, even if we can't picture exactly what that looks like now, see beyond ourselves and put one foot in front of the other, build a community, build ourselves, build a healthier society, and those things will be reflected in a future that maybe we can't even conceptualize as yet. Okay, so the next question I had is, what can you, me, audience, do to make it through these tough times? Okay, and that's the, this is gonna be the Supra deck, Supra. Okay, Supra, like a Toyota Supra. What can we do to make it through? And these are very slippery cards, which is like a weird thing to say, but I'm just gonna do my best. They're really doing a lot to slide around. So what can my audience and myself included do to make it through? Gentleness. One more, please. Sageness. And I'm gonna we're gonna just one at a time. One more, please. Just one. One would be good. One would be cool. Okay, we got two. Magic, and that was on the top before, and anima, which is, I believe, the divine feminine energy. It's either, I always get confused between feminine and masculine with the word anima. Anyway, we'll see. All right, so let us see. What say you, Super Deck? How can we make it through? Gentleness. Thank goodness it's alphabetical, I think. Nope, it's not. Just kidding. Just kidding. Aha, page 105. If you're still with me, thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, share, put a little dingy on the whatever doodad. All right, it says, gentleness is a life that we cherish for another in our hearts. It is the emotional discovery of ourself and the world around us at its center and as a whole that leads to a powerful convergence of the totality of our being with all being. Our life is tied to all life, and the lines of destiny become shared in hope and inspiration against distress, alienation, and waste. It is an emotion beyond logic and is a secret handshake of the divine. And this is what I was just asking. Remember, I said, what can we do to make it through? And it goes back to fortifying the self, being at peace with yourself, building that community, that local community, helping one another. That's back to the gentleness. It's almost as if it's all coming together. It's almost as if there's some sense to the universe from time to time. All right, where were we? I'm sorry. I get caught up and I end up on my soapbox. I get all weird. Okay, sageness, number 93. Supreme accomplishments come through the agent of wisdom. Through the process of observance and contemplation, a path is formed and a union with the cosmic cycle is created. Powerful encoded realms open up into sanctuaries of clarity and meaning where thoughts and actions take on deep significance. Sageness is the achievement of the living consciousness, which is profoundly in touch with an ancestral subconscious, and together they form the supraconsciousness, an incarnation of the self called forth in the beginning of time in the circular dance of life. So again, it's going back to our roots as people, as humans, as, you know, we're all human, right? At least I think we are. We're all born the same way, and we all eventually pass. Some, God willing, sooner than later. But we are all in the great cycle of life. And whether one has money or privilege or power, it is relevant, clearly, if you can't, you know, find a ways to clothe and shelter and feed yourself. Of course it is. But to the extent possible, to the extent you have the privilege to see that we are all, at the end of the day, a human animal, to get in it together. So with the collective wisdom behind us, wisdom of centuries, learning, empathy, all the things that cause us to be human, draw upon those things. Go to the root, and the root will show us where we were meant to go. And we've lost track of the root. It's almost like we become too haughty, too proud. We think we know everything about everything. And in the grand scheme of learning, we forgot who we are at our most basic form. And we're all human. All right, magic is page 89. Like I said, at least that's the understanding. We're all human. There could be others. I don't know. Magic. The landscape of magic is marshy and unsettling, and is not for those who are unsure or easily unsettled. It is the realm of the forbidden, the act of deliberately bending the conscious into the subconscious, an act of inorganic mysticism to bring about a complex phenomenon that fleetingly reveals itself in reality. So I believe there's magic in the everyday. There's magic in a smile to a stranger. You know, when that smile might cause the stranger to reconsider maybe taking some very negative, drastic action. And you don't even know you're creating that magic. There's magic in telling somebody that you love them. You know, words carry weight. There is magic in everything, at least as we would define magic, right? Magic is something that you do or say or think that has an impact in the real world, right? And you can call things into existence. You tell somebody, hey, Mom, I love you. And that impacts, that changes things. That is magic. Don't forget that. Don't forget those little acts of magic. And don't get caught up in like, oh, that's the devil. Come on. We always say things like, what, the pen is mightier than the sword? Why is that? Because the magic of writing, okay? Your signature is what causes you to have a house, right? Because you signed off on a mortgage. That's magic. Give it a different name if it makes you comfortable. But your words matter. Your feelings matter. How you treat your neighbors and your family, how it matters. All right, the anima. Sorry, number 55. Again, I know I'm apologizing. I shouldn't be. This is like, this is raw. Okay, it is the divine feminine. Any woman is daunting to a man, yet within each man there is a woman they know in whom they invoke in spite of themselves. That female voice holds the creative, life-giving keys to their existence. Espoused to bring a happy balance to man from the beginning of time, this feminine voice allows man to summit the cosmos with logic wedded to intuitive, inspired thought. It is the internal feminine mirror that, when discovered with kindness, returns the glance with enduring, loving confidence. However, when misused or arrogantly dismissed and dangerously neglected, this voice instead becomes the lethal, spoiled creature of men's souls, gathering their thrones, stares, loves, and accomplishments, and throwing them away onto the memoryless ground of oblivion. Okay, and remember, the question I asked is, what can we do to make it through? Honoring the feminine aspects. There's so much rhetoric out there about, you know, male characteristics, or what we traditionally say as male, or the animus, being somehow better, positive. You know, notice like if a male traditionally puts on female garments, okay, wears a dress, it's like diminishing that person. Oh, you're dressed like a chick or something like that. You know, it's negative. But women, you know, we put on pantsuits. And that has become accepted. Why? Because it's more masculine. There is an intrinsic vibe in our society of late that what is masculine is positive and what is feminine is negative. And I use those terms irrespectively of your biological sex or your gender identity or anything like that. It is the energy of softness, of kindness, of creativity, of patience, of generosity. People view those things, especially in the United States of America, as weak. We view rest as weak. We compete for who has the most billable hours in a month. We compete for, well, I stayed up all night working on this project. It's like a badge of honor. And we lose that connection. And forgetting about this aspect and diminishing this aspect, we lose the very thing that makes us human, the very things that will carry us through tough times. We lose them. And if we want to make it through, we've got to get back in touch with that. We've got to see the value of that. We've got to see the value of caring and consideration and education, you know, of those, you know, like, through wisdom and, you know, all the things that go along with what is encompassed in the term divine feminine, which again is not gender specific, it's not sex specific. It's just a term that's used. But it's this balance between, yes, you can be powerful and aggressive and assertive and confident, and a go-getter. But we often ignore this part, the caring, the loving, the nurturing. We value it less. You know, ask any person who's had a stay-at-home co-partner, you know, and then they get divorced and they say, I'm giving this person half, and I can't believe they're taking it. Like, you would not have been able to achieve all this had this person not sacrificed. Okay? Because there's value to that. Go out and hire yourself a nanny, a housekeeper, a chef, a gardener. You know, hire all the people that do the things that your at-home spouse did, if that's what your way of operating was. And I guarantee you'll start to see real quick that it is valued under our system at much more than you're giving it credit for. But that's all we see is dollars. That's all we see. And we've neglected so much in terms of gentleness, sageness, the magic of the everyday, the magic of the sun coming up every morning. The fact that we even wake up in the morning and didn't pass away in our sleep. There's so much to be grateful for, and we need to remember that. And that's what Spirit's saying here. Okay, I'm almost done, I promise. Okay, what can we do to cope or prepare for what is coming? What can we do? And this is called the Black Mirror Oracle. Not Black Mirror the show, which is also awesome. By the way, if you haven't seen it, would recommend. You know, 5 stars, would recommend. So let's find out. What can we do to prepare or cope with what is coming? What energy can we embody? All right. The quarter moon, balance. And Uranus, disruption. On the bottom, we have Hecate. And I hope I'm saying that right. I oftentimes have a disconnect in my brain between how it's written and how it's said. Let's start with the quarter moon because that's what came out first. Thank you again so much for being here and joining with me. Please do, if you are hearing what I'm saying and you want to build community with me, liking, sharing, subscribing would really mean the most. Balance. They're calling it balance, maybe? Huh. 54. Very odd. Here we go. The quarter moon. The goddess of justice. The moon represents both the first quarter moon waxing to full and the last quarter moon waning to dark. Depending on your circumstance and need, either side of this moon can be utilized and harnessed. So we are, depending on your perception, we are either waning to dark or waxing to full, like coming up to a full moon. So we're either getting toward a better place or we are going into a darker place. It's a matter of perception, right? We talked about that reality versus perception. So you need to make it through, to prepare yourself, you need to make a decision for yourself. Are we basically burning it down and starting again, Phoenix style? Or is there a way to repair this? Or is there some balanced ground between the two? So I think what this is telling me is see the state of the world for what it is. Try to see the truth of what is really going on as neutrally as you possibly can. All right, Uranus, which is disruption. All right, that is page 71. Okay. It says, by the way, it's exalted in Scorpio, and it's affiliated with Aquarius. Breakthrough, shock, awakening, rebellion, freedom, revolution, vision, science, urge for change, new possibilities, tradition, originality, communication, technology, prophecy, electricity, astrology, unconventional thinking, the urge to better oneself, passing on knowledge, transcending limitations, excitement, risk, concern for humanity, the forming of spiritual groups and covens. covens, little neighborhoods. Iconoclastic attitudes that tear down the limits of monotheistic religion, eccentricity, looking towards the future. Not surprising considering it's affiliated with Aquarius and the star, which is hope. You know, this is, you know, you Aquarians, my Aquarian friends are, you know, almost intellectual to a fault. You know, you're the creative thinkers. You see things differently than a lot of other people. You know, so take a look at where we're at. So first see where we're at and take a look at where we're at and look at how can we make it through this? How can we get to the next phase? What can be done to disrupt a negative path that we might be on? And really, if I'm honest, are on. You know, I'd love to say that it's, you know, this amazing thing that's going to just turn out beautifully, but, and maybe it will, but the future's not set in stone. We got to act or it doesn't happen. Anyway, Hecate. It says, down, 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 the seeker feels the crushing force of gravity urging a descent into the depths of the earth. Taking the fire of the endless sun, a journey into the labyrinthine, chthonic womb must begin. Wisdom is to be found in fertile darkness. The path will be illuminated by the lantern of spirit. And this is affiliated with the hermit, which is basically like going within and understanding the truth. In the deepest womb of the black earth, there is a pulse of phosphorus light that glows and fades like a heartbeat. Its pale essence is invisible above the surface, but in velvet darkness it radiates fierce and true. It's almost like that phrase, only in the darkest night can you see the beauty of the stars. And that's what I think it is. Like, we're in a very dark night in the United States. But in that darkness, we can see more clearly those points of light, those beautiful points of light, there to guide us, there to just show us the beauty of the universe. Anyway, the light draws power to your third eye, stirring the spiritual power and water of your body into the mind to awaken it. Like a key sliding into a lock, the luciferous glow alights as a kiss upon your brow, awakening your full spiritual and mental potential. The glowing cinder of earth burns with a cold fire. It draws you down beneath the layers of stone and soil to the heart of the great darkness that feeds all life. Here, Hecate dwells in her form as a goddess of the chthonic realm. Yet she is boundless, limitless, able to traverse any world she desires. But it is here in the darkness that she feels at home. Her voice can only be heard by those who know how to listen, those who are not afraid to venture into her labyrinthine womb. She will only speak once from a place within you that can only be sought in solitude and silence. It's about wisdom, and we had that wisdom card earlier. It's about looking to our history, seeing it for what it is, and saying, let's do better. Because damn it, we are the United States of America, and we can do better. We can be, once again, and I would say, honestly, for the very first time, everything our ideals call us to be. I have complete and utter faith in the United States of America, and I believe in this country. I believe in its people, and I believe that out of the darkness will come great light. But we will need to make a choice, to make change, and to see, and to want that light to come forward. All right, the last deck I'm looking at is the microcosmic deck, and this is what the universe would have to say. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. I know this is like a really weird, controversial message. It's not about love, I know, but, you know, it needed to be said, and I felt like that's what I was being called to say. All right, we have luxury, Venus and Taurus. Nope, all weird. Okay. What does the universe have to say? Give me a couple more on that. Thank you. I actually got a couple more. Exactly. Analysis, Mercury and Virgo, and community. Community! Moon and Aquarius. We just talked about community like a lot. You were there. You remember. Okay. Luxury, Venus and Taurus, number 38. All right. The animal's the cat, and the element is earth, number 2. Venus in Taurus likes the finer things in life, whether they are opulent luxuries, loving relationships, gourmet meals, or simple moments basking in nature. They are very committed in their relationships and may express affection with gifts, food, or physical touch. There's nothing wrong with an occasional treat, but Venus and Taurus's love for routine can cause them to slip from indulgence into overindulgence. If they get cake every day, it is no longer a luxury, but a routine or entitlement, and does not taste quite as sweet. They should enjoy in moderation and savor every bite when they do. Look, this to me says, this is what I was talking about at the beginning, right? Where we have all this drama and nonsense going on around us, and yet we're expected to sit down at our computers, answer emails, go about our business like nothing's happening. And I think so many of us just want to cover our ears, and me too. I mean, like everybody, like we don't want to deal with like what's really happening, the drama, the violence, and like everything. And just go, la, 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 let's just pretend everything's normal, okay? That is natural, that is normal. But Spirit's saying, like, recognize that you're doing that. Recognize that you are actually intentionally living this luxurious life as a means of escaping and not having to deal with the plights, the difficulties of what's actually happening in the world right now. We can pretend all we want that everything is business as usual, is status quo, but it's not. And what are we going to do about that? Let's talk about community. Moon in Aquarius, number 23. This is an air element, number 11, which is the Justice card normally. The Moon in Aquarius, that's page 88 too, which is a nice balance. The Moon in Aquarius finds their security in groups and organizations, preferably with people who share ideals and causes. A community, by definition, is a group of people connected by similar values or beliefs. These groups can be powerful and uplifting when they bring people together to support each other. The downside is that by defining who is included, a community excludes anyone who does not meet those qualifications. The Moon in Aquarius, in their highest expression, facilitates community without exclusivity. They are unlikely to omit anyone for differences beyond their core ideology and know that diverse opinions strengthen the group. And this to me speaks to reaching out again to friends and neighbors and family members who may not feel exactly the same way we do. Now, I want to be very clear about this. There is a difference between saying, I think that a 15% tax bracket is reasonable and a 20% tax bracket is too much, and that being one thing, versus I don't think certain people deserve to have rights to exist, right? And I do. Like, there's differences, and then there's differences, right? There's differences that can be bridged, that can be mended for a singular purpose, that we can respect and understand each other. And then there's differences that are untenable. And I want to be very clear to draw that distinction, because I am certainly not suggesting that if you have friends or family that you've had to step away from because they've embraced some very toxic ideals that are incompatible with love and light and growth and positivity. I'm not suggesting that you get back with those people or mend things. What I am saying is, if you have friends across the aisle that maybe, again, you differ on some policy issues, that gap can be bridged and should be bridged in this time of need. And that's what Spirit's saying, is like, you don't have to have everybody be the exact same as you to effectuate change. All right. Number 30, analysis, Mercury and Virgo. All right, let's take a look. All right, this is an earth element. It's number 6. It's the crow or the raven, depending, I guess, on how large it is. And that is the Lover's card. So is there a choice here? Mercury and Virgo uses their excellent perception skills to serve others by refining the world around them. They can see what works, what doesn't, and how to make minor adjustments for maximum benefits. They seek perfection and try to help others by recognizing opportunities for improvement. To improve any system, you must first be able to identify and understand its flaws. Unfortunately, their inclination to point out flaws can quickly spiral into being overly critical of minor imperfections. What was I just saying about tax brackets and whatever, right? They must avoid criticizing without providing a better solution and refrain from offering unsolicited advice. Right. So, again, this all ties in very nicely together. It's all of us working together and pooling our strengths in a community, bridging gaps, unifying for a greater purpose. And that greater purpose is, like I said, what I believe to be the American dream, even if it's never truly been realized. There was a better time in some respects where we actually passed the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, and we had the National Labor Relations Act that was formed, and we had, you know, Title VII. We had at times in this country, you know, the amendment, the 19th Amendment, where we had women's suffrage. We had things, progression in a forward direction, in a positive direction. And I think that was very consistent with American ideals. But we need to dig deeper. And instead of retracting from those things, we need to dig deep. We need to agree as much as we can on some core and fundamental issues, which is why I said, like, don't confuse, like, oh, different policies with, like, people aren't people, okay? Like, we need to agree that all people deserve safe housing. All people deserve access to food and clean water and mental health care, right? There are certain basic fundamentals that we need to get on the same page about, and then we can work through the details. But we need to form those communities at a local level, and we need to support each other because, like I said at the beginning, we are all of us going through it. And yes, it's in love and career and life. Yes, that's all true. I stand by all my other readings. But we cannot ignore what's going on in the background. We cannot ignore what's happening. And just for, you know, giggles, I have a beautiful, beautiful 2016 bottle of Jordan wine. You know, 2016 was a simpler time in a lot of ways, a happier time in a lot of ways. I mean, there were some good years in there, but it was before the escalator. It was before any of this. Right? And I'd like to know when I can pop that bottle. And unfortunately, the answer is no time frame can be determined at this time. Bottom of the deck says 4 months. So what I'm saying is don't pop that bottle yet, but maybe keep it in the fridge. I love you guys. Thank you for staying with me, for listening to me. And I hope that you can be a part of this community as we stand together through these trying times. Thank you.